Yo, welcome to Unhinged. And I can't believe we're doing this again with Coke.
I can't believe it.
Oh man, like I feel super excited. Koku, the way I describe you is that you shine without lotion, right? Like nothing can dim your light. It's such an asset to anyone who's working with you. So I'm Drew Breeze, and just happy to be here, like really happy to be here. I can't see well. So a lot of the lighting stuff that's happening, a lot of like the amateur grip situation that's happening here is very disturbing to both of my eyes, and I should probably just get glasses. I'm of the age where I should get them, but I haven't, and you know, that's just the situation as it is right now.
Well, hi Drew. Drew is a good friend of mine, and my name is Koku, as you may see here. I'm gonna be down here. Or Koku Puff. I'm really excited to be here too. It's always good to talk to my friends, and I love Unhinged. I think this is a really good idea, Drew. And I'm glad to be here. And I think you shine as well. You know, Drew, we mostly know him in a writer capacity for those of us in the know. So it's really kind of cool to see him in front of the camera. That's always fun.
Yeah, it's always fun. Especially because like Unhinged is like how the chat goes. Like we'll jump on about a topic and I'm just like, this is like just so far off the cuff, but I love it. And it's like, it's not inappropriate, you know what I'm saying?
No.
It's like, you know, shit that you would say, like shit that you would actually
sometimes you just say things in the group chat and you're just like, whoa, like I did not say that in public. But then I'm like, well, I would.
that's the unique quality that you have, though, which is that you're willing to say it. You're willing to say it in private as in public. And I don't know if I have that same quality. It's very admirable or dangerous. I don't know which way you want to cut it, but
you know, I'm not attacking. I'm just, you know.
No, not at all. I've seen you come to the defense of a lot of people who not many would come to the defense of, which is like that. I feel like that's honorable. Like Angela Simmons got caught in a really cool, I would say cute photo shoot. I'm being generous, but Angela Simmons did a photo shoot for her swimwear line, right?
Yes.
And I would say that like, given the fact that she's hip hop royalty, right? Like, so she's like generationally wealthy in the ways that people talk about.
Which is fine. I'm pro nepotism. I'm pro royalty. I'm pro generational wealth. I ain't got no problem with that. When folks start talking about that stuff, I ain't got no problem. So Angela, Vanessa Simmons, shout out to you all, Ziggy, everybody.
Yeah, JoJo too. JoJo too. Whatever you're doing, I'm sure.
I ain't got no problem with that. Let us all be able to grow with. I want more kids to grow up with the in-ground pool, not the overground pool.
Not the overground. We grew up with them overgrounds. Those were fun.
Those are fun. And and the overground pool was the cool kids' house. The inflatable pool, well, or some of us, like myself, I grew up with the dishwasher, the Palmolive in the bathtub.
But honestly, that's the thing. The Palmolive in the bathtub was like, you saw the scam, like y'all saw the finesse, and you were like, yo, this is the same as the bubble bath mix, so I'm not getting caught with the okie doke. And you went straight to the source. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I want the bubbles. You know, I'm a kid. I don't care about the preservatives or whatever, and the red number 40 dye, things like that.
Exactly.
Big hooves.
Exactly.
I just want to have fun. Yeah.
And so, all right, like speaking of the great value version, Angela Simmons did a photo shoot for her swimwear line that people are talking about. I think given the fact that she's really well-to-do and that she's been pushing the swimwear line for a minute too. Like I imagine this is a big part of her like lifestyle brand. It's the swimwear line. And you know, people had some unflattering things to say about it, which I'm like a big Angela Simmons like defender. I wouldn't say stan, maybe apologist. Apologist. And I feel like the conversation that's popping up around the photo shoot is really about the photos themselves and like the quality of the photos that she put out, and that like of her in her gear. And can you tell me more about it? Because I feel like this just popped up on my timeline.
Yeah, no, I saw the photo. So again, it's about her swimwear line. And I mean, personally, like they were not retouched photos. They were the actual photos. I don't think that the photo necessarily gave her justice. Like That's not because Angela looked bad to me. I think she looked beautiful. She has a real body. She's very curvy, naturally, genetically, she's hit the lottery, right?
Yes.
Angela has a very nice body. And I mean, you know, a lot of us, I got cellulite too. You know, it just comes with certain, you know, things that come, you know, accoutrements and bodily enhancements and things that come with the genetics. It's gonna be what it is, right? So I have the same things that she has. It's just that with the lighting and the way that, you know, when you talk about like theatrical makeup or like photo shoot makeup and things like that, and if the lighting is not proper, it's going to make it seem like that person just has too much on, or it's going to highlight things that it shouldn't. However, I think she looked great, you know, and it's, you see that though, because it's all unretouched. It was not only her, but it was also Ari Fletcher and JT from the City Girls. JT, first of all, JT is super bad. Like, that is a beautiful girl. Like, JT is the kind of person, if she's just walking down the street, normal person on the way to her job at the Rite Aid or
and
CVS,
looks bad, like no question about it.
Who is that? You know, there's just some people just have that it factor. JT to me is one of those people. Rihanna is one of those people. There are just some people, I don't care, they have on a muumuu. You just see them and it's like, wow, right? But anyway, all of these people were just unretouched, and the photos just they just weren't. And I don't want to take anything away from the photographer. I don't know the challenges of the situation. What I will say is that I have seen the video of her in motion and with the proper lighting, right? And everything, those same pictures, like when it comes to life and you watch her walking down the runway, it's the exact look. And it's not because it was retouched. Again, she's in motion. So no one's going to go through all of that for something in motion, as far as like some sort of like, you know, post-production for a, you know, model walking down the runway.
Is there something to be said of like how cynical the internet is? I mean, because like, one, the stills are what look less flattering. Like, I think it's like, if you take a frame, like you said, of any one of anything from her catwalk, it was like any one frame might look a little dicey, you know what I'm saying? Like, it might be a little much. And I think she didn't do herself justice necessarily with the body oil, or she looked like a reflector, you know, she looked like a bike reflector. Like, there was whole sections of her body that look too reflective in the light.
But I don't fault Angela for that though. Even the posing, certain things didn't look comfortable. I put the posing and the comfortability and how she really felt in the moment, I put that on the photographer. And as far as the makeup, that's on the makeup artist. That's not on her. You know, you work with, you know, she's the art. So when you're painting on the canvas, you're supposed to make sure that she looks her best.
No, I mean, I expect this from a Katie fan. It's no one else, it's never anyone else's fault, right? It's never anyone else's fault. I'm just like,
what's she supposed to do?
I hire better people.
Showed up, it fit. Don't
hire better people. Don't
that too.
Don't model the swimwear. True. It's okay. Like, she's gonna look great even if she puts it on someone of her same body type. Like, because she's not necessarily a model, right? So, and she could find a model of her same body type to represent her audience. But I think above all, it's like, you have to hire the right people to represent what you want out there. Especially, like, you know, her Instagram is very curated. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's like we talked about, like, with this concept of like, people we know to be famous in a way that others on like a daily level wouldn't understand the effort.
Would not understand, wouldn't know. It doesn't resonate or register with them.
And she puts that level of effort. And so when you have like those big misses and it becomes obvious, it is your fault. Like, it is your fault that you look freshly Vaselined in a way that, like, people are going to be able to get those snippets from you because you put it out there, you put it out to millions, and like, your IG don't look like that. And I think with the filter era, like, the filter era is a very interesting era to me because like, I think a lot of people do believe they look like the filters. Like, when you become it, right? And so I think, like, with her, it's like, that was a hyper real look. Like, the photo styling that she went with. It's like, it's not like she ain't see the shots. It's not like she didn't see the snippets or the videos. So she went from something that's a little bit more polished on her feed to something that's like hyper real and naturalistic. And I feel like that could be a disservice to certain, and even around the way girls like her, like around the way, like on your neighborhood block, she is the type of woman that dudes at least girlfriend, if not wife.
Right,
Like
of course.
they're
1,000%.
they're hollering at her every day on the street. They holler at her nice too. You know, they talk to her nice when she comes down the block, and she's spinning in her like her infinity SUV and shit, and like and she looks good, and she got the baby in the back, and like she probably got a couple kids in the back.
She got the teacher placard, so she don't even have to move her car on each side of the opposite side of the street. She's lit.
Exactly. Yeah. You know what I'm
Baby
saying?
daddy locked up, so you good.
Digital dash too, you know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
best house on the block. So she is someone that gets wife. She looks good. She's very well presented. She takes care of herself, and takes care of herself in the way that's not obsessive celebrity level. You know what I mean?
No.
Like she'll have Popeye's chicken sandwiches, you know what I mean?
Yes.
But she's not going to eat that every day, but she has them. You know what I mean? She makes a good mac and cheese. You know what I'm saying?
But she's still at Brooklyn Chop House, getting lit and mixy, but then can still exactly a little inside outside. I know the vibes. I know what you're getting.
You know the vibes, the Nutrisystem before the summer belly, you know? And I respect that. I think that's attainable. That like the thing that she's going for is very attainable. But I think the internet is much more merciless and unforgiving. And so knowing what she knows, I thought it was definitely a bad look, or at least an oversight on her part.
See, but and that's the thing too. I don't really think that this, as far as the criticism of the photo shoot, I don't think it largely was a body bashing thing. I think it was more so just like a curation thing, like how did this look, how did it feel? Because when you really think about it, like most of the comments, most people are like, well shit, she look good to me, like I know what y'all talking about. And especially like a lot of the guys are like, damn, like she look good. You know, you guys aren't thinking about like, well, you know, her highlight could have been, you know, like just such specific things that us women can actually speak to. You know, like there's guys aren't really talking about that. Of course, if you've done like anything where you're talking about editorial and things like that, you can, you know, speak to like, well, the shading is not, you know, but most people just like on the block and be like, she look good, you know. So that's the base reaction, like she looks good.
And she's got a surplus of apple bottom jeans, you know what I'm saying? Like she's like just, you know, historically, she's a legacy apple bottom model, which is great. I think that is exactly the type of body you want in a sort of form-fitting denim. You know what I mean? Like a real structured denim type of look.
No, she hit the genetic lottery. She's the type of person that even if she doesn't work out, she'll still be curvy.
Oh, absolutely. So, she'll be hourglass too. Like
she'll always have
hourglass. So yeah, I mean, internet a little extra hate, but I'm not so surprised when you go out in a full jar of coconut oil. You know what I'm saying? Like just balance it out and think more carefully about who you hire, because it's like, this is not, even though I endorse nepotism, this is not a Diggy Simmons, JoJo Simmons job. Like find someone like at the top tier, because you know JoJo is probably behind the camera. Let's be real.
No. To your point, I do think that the one thing I do agree with you on is that the responsibility, if you are the person that's in charge of the production, is just making sure that you hire the right people. That's really it. Yeah.
No Katie. Just take responsibility. Take responsibility.
Don't do that. Accountability is king. I believe in accountability.
Okay, so we were talking a little bit about this concept that I can't even say it without laughing, but I heard a little bit about Funk Flex and Conway. So me and my cousins are on a group chat, and we talk a lot about rap, just like rap culture, and like they're 30 plus rap heads. They listen to the boom bap, like they still keep up with like when Eminem drops an album, shit like that. Like not necessarily like NBA YoungBoy, like the latest stuff, and we respect it, but it's more like age appropriate, grown man, bars, Joe Budden mood music rap. And
Okay.
I like that. I'm good where I am with that. I don't need to like more popular stuff.
Mhm.
But because I'm that rap fan, I know about Griselda Records. I actually was just talking to my girlfriend, and she was like,
Mhm.
I was trying to explain to her this issue, and she was like, "Who is Conway?" She was like the department store, and I was like, No, Conway the Machine is the rapper. And I was like, but that's the point, because Conway went in on Funk Flex. He had like a rant about how Hot 97 don't play Griselda, and like they don't have respect for Griselda, even though, you know, Griselda kind of, I don't know really what his point was about what Griselda brings to Hot 97, but I think he was directing a lot of his vitriol to Funk Flex. And I definitely wanted to know what you thought about that, because I find myself in the very unenviable position of taking Funk Flex's side. And I don't like, because I like Griselda. I love Conway. I feel
Yeah.
like he's a really dope rapper, but I was just like, man, I hate having to agree with Funk Flex, but I do.
I think that, well, first of all, I think that Griselda, they've had a really good run for I mean, first of all, they're not what I would consider, they're not a radio group at all.
Right.
Like
Right.
they're just not, it's just not a like I would not expect to, if I heard Griselda on the radio in any city I was in, even in New York City, I'd be like, huh.
Griselda on the radio like earlier than 2 a.m. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like not that late, you know, like at the Afties, whatever, like I would expect. But earlier than that, I'd be like, oh, okay, well, you know, why are they playing this? I would,
and I wouldn't be happy about it necessarily either. You know, like liking, no, but I'm coming from the position of liking that music. But it's like,
yeah, but
you're in the whip and you're about to go to the Wegmans and pick up a bag of groceries. You're not trying to hear.
Not, like, no, you're right. It's definitely like it's a feeling, right? It's a place that you're in. It's not, you know, it's a sort of, you know, again, no pun, but it is like a mood music kind of thing. Like you're just kind of, you know, you're in a place, but you're not listening to Griselda in a car on the way to a place with your friends or whatever. So no, it's not that. And I would not expect to hear it on the radio. And I guess I would feel a little bit more sorry for him in the sense that if nobody gave a damn about Griselda, but that's not the case. Like they've got the craziest buzz ever. However, I will say that I do believe that if I'm, because I know you said you're looking at things from Funk Flex's point of view.
Yes.
I also think that with Funk Flex, I mean, how long has he been on Hot 97 in that slot?
Funk Flex is like approximately, and no ageism, he's like at least 62 years old. Like he's
right, like
Funk Flex is is easily 60 years old. And I'm not even joking or like trying to front on him in any way.
I'm not even trying to be funny, right? Like I remember like I don't remember a time, there's not a time before Funk Flex for me.
Yo, he's aged really well. Can we talk about how well Funk Flex has aged?
So he's aged well, and he's also just very current on everything, right? Yes. So like Funk Flex might be the same age my mom, but he can have a conversation about hip hop that I might not even understand, because he knows, you know, he has a depth of knowledge, as we talked about before, that, you know, is just beyond what the average person can even intake, you know, regardless of what he plays on the radio.
Oh yeah.
So, but
and that's his job too.
Exactly. This is his job to sort of just be informed, regardless of what he listens to. When I was listening to that stuff though, and I think that like when you listen to the initial, when he was talking to Wallow, he wasn't really being attacking. I think that Conway took it away because Flex was laughing at the sort of the end of the conversation, and then it just became and escalated and became something completely different where everybody started getting on the defensive.
Right, where like a New York dude kind of like takes it as disrespect. Like you're laughing while you talk about him, so I'm gonna take that as disrespect.
Exactly. Anyway. So now it's like it becomes distorted and it becomes something else.
Yeah.
But I do wonder about what Flex thinks about. Like, I know his legacy is cemented, right? There's no one going to tell you that Flex is not a legend. There's no one going to tell you that Flex is not, you know, has not had a stronghold or an importance to hip hop. You know, I mean, there's just certain people when you think about New York, obviously.
I could argue that. I could argue that
listen to where I'm going with this. Rest in peace, K-Slay. I feel like K-Slay was New York. Like he was about breaking and he was about supporting artists. You could come in front of K-Slay and be like, yo, listen, I'm a new rapper, blah, blah. Do you know K-Slay actually listened to my song? He was like, yo, you're crazy.
That's
He
great.
listened to my.
That's so great.
To,
I mean,
like,
you
what am I
got
gonna do
bars
with
though.
it?
Like you try to like kind of be demure about it, but you
No,
be having like bars
right,
and kind of like going at niggas a little bit. Like I
no,
would
but he
battle you,
listened to.
but I feel like you would like low blow. You know what I'm saying? Like,
No, I
and you watch a
no.
lot of battle rap too. It's like you were
Yes, when
mysteriously
I'm in
good
the
at it.
mood, no. But that's not what I gave him. I was just like, let me just troll him. So I gave him Jesus, my nigga, and he really listened to it. He was like, why are you doing this? And I was like, I don't know. So like,
That's so
he
great.
was. No, like I could even show you guys the DMs. They're so crazy. He was like, something's wrong with you. Like, it was just so funny. So he's just he was so kind. I mean, so I laugh about that because it's so personable. And like K-Slay just had time for everybody. Like there's a
Yes.
relatability to someone like that that's so
Yes.
different than other people. And I don't know that Funk Flex is that, but I still can't take anything away from Funk Flex's legacy and his position in New York radio. And like I said, I don't remember a time when there was ever not a Funk Flex, right? And he's also like,
Right.
he's the
Right.
club
Right.
DJ, right? So we all know that. But I do understand the frustrations on Conway's part. Like, damn, like, can we at least get a look? I mean, and again, like Flex was like, yo, you over 40 years old. Like, what are you worried about? Like, what are you talking about? Like, so I get what Flex is saying, but
Yeah.
it's still like, yo, throw the man a bone. Just like, if you know he's over 40, do something that registers with his generation too. You're Flex. You can play
Well,
whatever you want.
in my defense of Flex, which is a phrase I never thought I'd say. In my defense of Flex, like first of all, when you said I can't remember a time when there wasn't a Funk Flex, and that was like your highest compliment. It's like me being like, yo, I can't remember a summer where there weren't mosquitoes. Like that's like there's definitely mad irritating things that we'll always remember, and Funk Flex is one of them. But beyond that, like he has actually given them looks. So when you talk about like, like throw them a bone, basically, like if you look at Flex's YouTube channel or like the Hot 97 YouTube channel where their freestyles are, that's how I got put
They're
on
all
to
there.
Conway. Like when he was bubbling at first from that mixtape level to like, and yo, West Side Gun, like let's give a lot of respect to West Side Gun where it's due, is like he's an amazing marketer, right? Like he raps like a marketer. His overdubs are like a marketer. He understands how to make sticky things that people like will be drawn to. And that's how he's built up Griselda. And seeing their freestyle on the radio is how I discovered Conway and was like, yo, this nigga with Bell's palsy is like one of the nicest niggas I've ever seen freestyle, because he was so capable and he could rap for like seemingly hours on end through one side of his mouth and be spitting some of the hottest bars I'd ever heard. And that was on Flex. You know what I mean? Like that was like, LA Leakers gave him time and like Sway gave him time, but Flex was really who launched those guys. So I feel like as a Flex apologist in this instance, it's like you're really biting the hand that feeds you. Like why, when you are someone who, and Flex even said it in the Instagram post, it's like you're signed to Rock Nation, right?
Yeah.
Which is, and you're an Eminem artist. So you've been managed by two of the biggest hip hop legacy artists of all time, like biggest in terms of selling records, biggest in terms of street cred, lyrical miracles. Like that crowd embraces you through that cosign too. And it's like, so what do you want Flex to do beyond that? Like I put you on my show, Jay-Z and Eminem co-signed you. You have Travis Scott, Jadakiss, Lil Wayne, J. Cole on your songs. So what are you asking for? You know what I mean? Like, what is the actual complaint? And I talked about this with you where it was like, Spotify and YouTube are your gatekeepers, not Funk Flex. If you're thinking of Funk Flex as your gatekeeper, you already got it fucked up. You know what I mean? Like you already got it fucked up.
I agree with that.
Because it's like, how is Funk Flex gonna be a determinant of your success when he plays terrestrial radio? Like, when are people even listening to terrestrial radio for an act like you?
I mean, when are people really listening to terrestrial radio?
Yeah, but hey, exactly, right? Like, hey, like
I don't know.
That alone, right? And I feel like
I don't know.
Yeah, it's
that's not a complaint that I would even have. I mean, I don't really, everything I see, even if I listen to something about radio, it's literally the rebroadcast that they'll put on YouTube.
Yeah,
it's not because I was listening. It's just not how we consume content right now. So I do think that Flex had a point when he was saying, you're kind of showing your age, bro, because like you talking about something that, you know, and I mean, it's like, would Flex spin Griselda in the club?
No. Could he? That's like, could he spin? Is there any Griselda song?
Can I twerk to this?
I mean, look, and like Tana Talk, Benny the Butcher, all those dudes, I like what they do.
I love them.
I'm a fan, and like when I'm in the gym and in the headphones and I'm trying to get pumped and I want to listen to problematic music that I wouldn't play around people who have other respectable jobs, like they are my go-to. But I think in this instance, you're delusional, bro. Like you're asking for a thing that maybe you wanted a lot in the late 90s and 2000s, and you're like taking out this like misguided resentment on someone who's not the source of it. And also on someone who's participated in you growing. I don't really know if I can fuck with that. And it kind of smacks of the fact that like maybe the fame is getting to his head. Like, because he is like somewhat famous. You know, he has a career off of his heart.
I 1,000% agree. And I believe that if all of them just, well, I mean, I'm sure that they're doing it right now, but if they just wanted to tour for the rest of the year and keep a book dates, and that was it, they would totally book throughout the world. They are that big. So that's why I didn't understand why Flex specifically was this specific object of his ire in that instance. I thought that was kind of interesting.
You said it perfectly when you were like, yo, just go collect your checks in Turkmenistan, dude. Like you're gonna I'm
serious.
Well.
Like I would go like, yo, F y'all, F Flex, F everybody out here or whatever. Let me go my black ass to Croatia and get the goddamn bag. You know what I mean?
Put Doncic on your IG story.
I was just about to say, you think just like everybody loves basketball, everybody loves rap.
Yep.
You really think Luka and Conway don't have each other's numbers?
Yo,
Luka, put me down. Like, who is your boy? Like doing promo out here in Slovakia.
Luka knows where the gas is in Serbia too. You know what I mean? He knows he's connecting them to the loud in Serbia so that they can have a good time after the show. It's like, that's a perfect life to me. Like that's the level of fame that's just like absolutely perfect in the pocket. And I feel like he's taking it for granted. And I don't respect it because he's making me have to side with Funk Flex, which is like just like a disgusting life principle I decided I had to cross to make this argument.
I think there are ways that you can sometimes kind of call in a favor comfortably and be okay. But yeah, I don't know. I think when somebody's feelings are hurt, you know, you just kind of have to, this is the Libra in me. You have to just sort of understand where they're coming from. Like, what are you upset about? Let me understand what's eating you. What's eating you, Conway? Talk to me about it.
What's eating you?
You just have to kind of, you got to just figure it out. Like what's happening here. So then when you realize that Conway's complaint is much more of a dated complaint and a dated concept, and you kind of even realize that Conway, and I hate to admit this so plainly, it's a little bit of an entitlement thing when you think about
absolutely.
He's been you know, and how he's been perceived and how much people love the brand. So I don't know if Conway necessarily has the best argument here. But I don't think, but I will say this, I don't think that Flex plays diplomatic enough either. I'm not comfortable with somebody that just goes solo with every single disagreement that they have, because Flex will just attack people. Like, you know, Flex is the guy that will like, you know, spit on your grave type thing. Like, and it's like, dude, like we can
also, let's like be real honest. Flex beats women. Like I mean, just on that alone, he Flex beats women. Like that's like a known on the record, been arrested for thing. Like
when I saw what he was saying about Pete Rock, he's like, "Yo, bro, like I love you, and you know, you're one of the dopest producers ever." Which no one is going to tell you that Pete Rock is not one of the dopest producers ever. Like that is just absolutely a fact. Right. But then it was like, "Oh yeah, by the way," and you was getting beat up and robbed and this, and I'm just like, "Yo, like who does that? How can you say you love me?" And they're talking about I was getting beat up and robbed and all these things. Like all of that, you know, that's all speculation and alleged anyway.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I think
stuff just threw out into the atmosphere. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that to my enemy.
I agree with that. I mean, he thrives off negativity. Like that's one thing.
I don't understand that.
there's always this lane in hip hop that I hate, but it's a super lucrative lane of people who thrive off negativity, who can like take a space like a DJ Vlad or a Funk Flex and just take whatever negativity is and just is in it and just magnify it to 1,000 and become really famous off of it. It's real demon work. You know what I mean? It's like real nasty demon work that he does. And he's been doing for like 40 plus years. And so I feel like on that alone, that makes me personally side with Conway. You know what I'm saying? Like it makes, because it's like, that's an energy that I hate, but commercially, artistically, like knowing the landscape, like just like be aware of yourself, bro. You know what I mean? Like be aware that like you actually have a really great rap career, and that like, my question to you, and this is like real unhinged, what's the alternative for Conway? You know what I mean? Like if he doesn't have this career, what's happening in his life?
I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna be very honest. One thing that I've loved about hip hop and how the culture has embraced Conway, like you brought up that he has Bell's palsy, right? This is a very, very superficial type of industry where people will judge you for even not having on the right colors, for not wearing the right clothes. Now at this point, now your pants are too baggy, or this and that. Conway, we don't give a damn. We're just here for the bars. You know what I'm saying? And I'm seeing that these, especially today, no one is even, I don't hear people like making a big deal of fuss. It's bringing awareness to his condition. You know, Bell's palsy is one of those things where it's like sometimes it just happens to a person. It can happen to anybody. And it can,
that's
in
true.
his case, it was triggered by, I believe he was shot. So I think that may have triggered. I mean, who really? I don't know the details of his condition, but I know people that have Bell's palsy where it's like they just woke up one day and it just didn't.
No, that's how most people I think have Bell's palsy, right? Like it's like a degenerative disease, like a neuromuscular disease. And like no Jada Pinkett about like the bringing awareness point, but I think it's hard for people to like feel sorry for folks who might have a condition like that and who are doing really well too, like who like even with that kind of appearance or you know appearance altering thing, they're doing super well. Because like I don't feel like a lot of people could relate to that, because like a lot of people who are going through some appearance altering thing aren't touring for like 6 to 7 figures a year, right?
I think that, and there could be anything that's disfiguring or anything like that, or even if it's just something where it's like you're just feeling down on your luck or down on yourself. When you see somebody like Conway that has that kind of confidence, that kind of swag, them kind of bars, and it's like, yo, I'm best, you know, not to do it or whatever, and you can't even take nothing away from him. Like that energy, that fuels me. That makes me feel like I can do anything. So I'm glad he's famous. I'm glad he's on. I'm glad I get to hear him spit, you know? So it's like, but I don't have to hear him on the radio.
Yeah, exactly. I don't need to hear him on a Hot 97 on a random Monday afternoon when I'm going to, like, who cares? But
I would rather, I don't like the fighting. No, I'm not really a fan of that.
LeBron James made one of his most famous appearances for street credibility and like hood royalty that you could by pulling up to the Drew League on Sunday afternoon.
Drop 42 on him.
Drop 42, 16 boards, you know what I'm saying? So he was out there. I know the stat line. Like that's a weird thing to know. But I think that the really funny part about the Drew League is like, it's just at the level where a basketball fanatic knows about it, but like a casual fan or an observer of things wouldn't really know what the fuck the Drew League is or why anyone should care. And
do you think a casual fan does a casual fan know about the does a casual fan know about the Rucker?
I think a casual fan
more over the Drew League, right? Maybe.
More than Drew League. Maybe. Yeah. I think they know about the Rucker more than Drew League. They just hear it. I mean, rappers have used Rucker in lyrics too in like famous songs. So I think just off the lean back mention alone, somebody might be like, oh yeah, that place. But Drew League is probably like a step below that.
I've even been to Gersh. Okay. I used to go to Gersh tournaments in Brooklyn. So I'm just wondering, like, is Drew League? Have you ever been to the Gersh tournaments?
Nah, I haven't.
That's a different level of hood. You know,
that's a deep cut.
That's deep cut. So I'm just wondering, is the Drew League? I'm just wondering if it's on the level of Gersh. I mean, I don't know. Like, I think of Rucker,
Yeah.
And then maybe drooling and Gersh, to me, it just kind of feels the same way.
Yeah, and I mean there are also like runs like at what's the LA Fitness Center where there's like a really good run. Like people might know it from like NBA Streets. Do you remember that game? Like they might know it from shit like that, or like specialty courts on NBA 2K. Like they might know it in that very like peripheral way, but not like, oh, these big famous athletes went to those courts and played big games and like, you know, stood up to the best of like the street ballers. But LeBron James went out there and like you said, he dropped 40 plus. He was there with DeMar DeRozan, who for normal people is not someone you'll know. But he's an LA guy. Yeah, he's an LA guy.
I wanted to talk about that.
Yeah. Tell me about it, because I feel like DeMar DeRozan had an outstanding season. Like he was in the MVP talks this year. He's a terrific player, but he's also completely anonymous to most people.
Right. So, you know, we were talking about this, you know, you and I were having a laugh because we're talking about something that we talked about called everyday famous.
Yes.
So when we talk about these players, like who is actually everyday famous? Of course, if I held up a picture of LeBron James to pretty much anybody across demographics, I think we know that everybody would know who that was. Right. But do you believe that women would know who DeMar DeRozan is?
I think if a woman I was with was watching a game and saw DeMar DeRozan on TV, they would bring up a skincare brand like Proactive, or they would say like all he needs to do is like, he's not someone where
it'd be something that has nothing to do with the game itself.
Exactly. It'd be like, oh, his braids would be fly if he did. You know what I mean? Like he's not going to register on most people's radar. No, not at all. Not at all.
Let me throw another name out there. Do you think women would know? I'm going to go with no on this one. Do you think women would know who Bradley Beal is?
Bradley Beal. First of all, his name is very anonymous. Like Bradley Beal, he sounds like a hedge fund manager who left to like sell NFTs and like a private fund. Like that's such a non-basketball name. Like he's just a very nondescript, non-basketball name. So absolutely not. They would not.
And the stage I'm setting is this is a person that's going to be sitting at the Applebee's happy hour where it's just like, isn't that so-and-so, right? Like, I'm just wondering if that, you know.
No, and you know what? Bradley Beal also just signed one of the biggest contracts in the NBA. He just signed for 5 years, 260 mil. So it's kind of great for him.
He did sign for the extension.
Yeah, it was an extension, right? No trade clause, extension, 5 years, 260 mil, and ladies in the club would not know who he is.
I think that's a beautiful thing.
That's awesome.
Actually,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
You get to enjoy the club. Do
that. Exactly. Have a good time. What about? I'm gonna get a little spicy now. What about Jokic, the Joker?
Oh wow, I got such a soft spot for him. And absolutely not. Nobody would know.
Nobody would know. I don't think the girls
they would like know. He's tall. They would think he's a pro athlete. I'll give him that. I think they would look at him and be like, he has to be a basketball player. Like there's no way, like I'm here. Like what are like the popping clubs now? I mean, post-COVID, I don't know, but like what are the popping clubs where like Jokic could just be at? I mean, other than a strip club.
Yo, I don't even know. Like, I don't know what I don't even know that.
Like, are there clubs anymore?
That's a great question. I don't know. Like, I never really. I was never a 40-40 girl. I don't know. Go to Pergola, get a table, smoke hookah.
Did you ever go to like the Light?
No. Oh, that one with the cathedral and all of that.
Yeah.
I've been there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like if Nikola Jokic showed up,
that's real. Yeah, he could show up there. Yeah.
If Nikola Jokic was at Magic City in Atlanta, like if he was at one of the strip clubs, yes, they would know him. But they also are like, they're professionals at knowing who a really tall, like Frankenstein
they would know.
White boy would be. Yeah.
Do you think that people would know who Kyrie Irving is if you don't pay attention to basketball? They would know the name, I think.
Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, I think the thing that Kyrie Irving has to his advantage is that he is
'Cause how
probably like
tall is Kyrie?
he's about 6'2". He's about
Right.
6'2".
So he's not
He's
that
not like
tall.
unusually like
No.
he's like Boris Kojo is 6'2". You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
Like there are enough rappers. Like wasn't Young Dolph like 6'3", 6'4"? There are enough people who are
Or
similar
that sort of,
to this
yeah.
who are tall. And so
Who
I
are not
don't know if that
athletes.
was set. Yeah, and who aren't athletes. I mean, like Dave East. I met Dave East, right? Like you probably met Dave East or seen
I
him in
met
person.
Davis before. He is so tall.
He's
Like he
super tall.
really
He's like
is.
6'7",
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah, he's super tall. Maybe at least 6'4", 6'5", at least.
right.
Yeah.
And I don't think that, and no disrespect to Dave East, I don't think a woman would know who Dave East is either. At all. Like I don't think
You know
they
what
would look
I
at
think?
Dave East sooner and see a pro basketball player than they would look at Kyrie Irving and say automatically that's a basketball player.
The thing with Davies, he's kind of has that, even though, like, not to, but it's the Wu-Tang sort of thing that happened to Method Man, where he's kind of got this thing where it's bled over
Yes,
beyond the
yes, yes,
actual rap or beyond the fact that he can actually play all know those things. So women don't know Dave East as a rapper. Women don't know, they don't know Dave East
he's
as he
like
can hoop.
A-list looks. He's
Yeah,
A-list
that's
looks
the thing.
with
So
like
when
C or D list reputation, entertainment career.
yeah, which is unfortunate because that's what he's he's one of those people that doesn't care how some people just really they just look at the part and they don't
Yes.
care about that. There's people like that, right? And I feel like Davies is not concerned about being the pretty one or whatever. Like he's not looking to be that person. So that's why he's like extra like dials into the griminess or whatever.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, but by that measure, Kyrie is not like, he's not in the Dave East A-list looks category, right? And he's not super tall, right?
No.
And like, I think the only reason that basketball fans know who Kyrie Irving is one, he's amazing at basketball. That's the obvious thing. But also he's like the president of smart dumb niggas. Like everybody knows a Kyrie Irving in their circle. You know what I'm saying? And
I have beloved people in my circle who are Kyrie Irvings, the flat
exactly. So
earthers.
he's more like known for
staging
that.
And
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, it's like it's the other the shenanigans, or maybe shenanigans is probably a little reductive, but it's those things that they're passionate about outside of what we know them for or want to see them excel in.
Right, like being Israelites and 5%er knowledge. Like he's in that realm of like, oh, you read that and now you're gonna only talk about that.
I feel like I would not be surprised if I were walking down Fulton in the mall and saw Kyrie like arguing with Hebrew Israelites. I don't feel like that would be weird. Like
arguing? Yeah. Would he be arguing?
Or maybe arguing with us.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, yeah.
Right. Exactly. On behalf. He's arguing on behalf.
Yeah, on behalf. Yeah. I don't feel like that would be like a jarring, or like I wouldn't be taken aback. I'd be like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, he would see
just keep it pushing.
You and your hair texture and be like, sis, you're the original Jew. Like he would say you are the original Hebrew.
Because let me tell you something, because they really don't like Africans either. And there have been times where I've walked past them and they've cussed me out because they can see it in my face. So some people just like, I don't know, like people just, they see me, they're like, okay, they just assume I'm Caribbean. They're like, okay, you're Haitian. I'm just like, yeah, sure, whatever. Like, I don't have a conversation for you. So like, yeah, I'm Haitian. Like, whatever, it's fine. It's not an insult. I'll take it. Like I said, but they always know. And they'd be like, damn, Africans and pop. I'm just like, yo, what is going on? What's happening? I've gotten cussed out by them mad times. Yeah, they don't mess with me. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you also look like you read. So it's like more than one book, more than like one collection of books. So I feel like they have a particular kind of animosity for people like that. So no, absolutely
every time I see somebody,
big no on Kyrie Irving.
Do you think that women would know if they saw his face? Now we're not going to talk about the height because that would be easy. But do you think women would know who Kevin Durant is? I don't think so.
Ooh, Kevin Durant. You know what? I think that's like a bridge too far to say that women wouldn't know who Kevin Durant is. I think Kevin Durant.
We're not saying the name. If I just said, who is this?
Like you held up a picture of Kevin Durant.
Who is this?
You're making it hard. You're making it really tough.
Because the name, obviously, it's a household name.
Yeah.
That's
like with name recognition and the face together would be a definite yes. They know who he is.
Yeah.
Holding up a picture of peas and rice, like maybe there's lip gloss today, maybe there isn't, maybe there's sunscreen today.
Stop
maybe
it.
I love him as a basketball player. I think he's a great person too. I think he's a good heart.
I get
I think he has a good heart. I think he sticks up there for his friends, right?
I get that. I get that.
We can relate. Like we can stick up for the kooky ones, but you know what? I think I'm still gonna say yes, and this is why I'm gonna say yes. Kevin Durant has a very distinctive look, right? Like, so I think here's the level of recognition I would give him. I don't think they would know him by name, but they'd be like, oh no, that's, you know, when people start doing, oh yeah, no,
that's the guy.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, no, I know him. He played basketball. It would be that. Yeah. And it would be like a strong though. Like no, yeah, I know. You know that boy who he on the Knicks, right? Like it would be. They would try to get to it, and I feel like that is like a level of, that's everyday famous to me. Like that's like, if you don't follow basketball and you saw the picture of the person, are you gonna start being like acting like you do when you see a white actor make a cameo on SVU? Like, no, I remember him from the other thing.
Because you'll look at an episode from like you'll go back, because I jump around with SVU. So you'll see the episode in 2013, be like, oh shit, that's the same person that's so and so. Exactly. No, that's totally true. I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you one that's I don't think is everyday famous. I will tell you that I do not believe this person is everyday famous. Pat Bev.
Wow, Patrick Beverly, absolutely not. I think the one thing about Pat Bev is that, like, and this is like no disrespect, I feel like I'm gonna sound like anti-black if I say this shit. Like, okay, Pat Bev looks scary. You know what I mean? Like, not like, no, he looks like a scary person. Like, and not in any way for like, it's not just his appearance. It's like how he be looking at people. Like he got
an intensity. So you see how he be talking to?
He talks rough, man. He's like, he's a person you don't want to, like, I wouldn't want to run into Pat Bev at West 4th Street. You know what I mean? Like if he was on the courts over there, like if he was just a guy who played, like a 5'10" guy who played defense, and like, I wouldn't want to run into him there. I wouldn't want to run into Pat Bev on the subway. You know what I mean? Like if Pat Bev was on the subway and he fell asleep on the bench, what would you think? Like, be honest.
Anybody that can fall asleep on the bench, like
like he laid out. You know what I mean? He got boots on. He got some old Timbs on.
he's in the same car as me.
He's in the same car. He's late.
First of all, if he's the only person in the car, for sure, I'm not getting on. I'm just not. I'm just like, oh, all right, cool. But if he's in the same car laid out like that, and it's still like, let's say like 8 more people in the same car, we on the A, and it's the express. So I'm like, yo, I gotta get back. Like I have to get home. Like I need to get on this train. I might hop on real quick. I'm gonna see Pat Bev.
Hop on.
No. I'm switching cars. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna listen, because I know nowadays they'll give you a ticket if they catch you.
Listen, you know. Pat Bev sells Metro cards at the turnstile.
He looks like.
He sells Metro cards at the turnstile. Like if he wasn't, he just got waived by the Minnesota Timberwolves in a trade. Well, he got traded to the Jazz for Rudy Gobert and others and picks. But like he got waived after he got traded. So like Pat Bev could very easily be on that A-Train car. You know, like that. There's no real like. He's like one step away from being that person anyway, and like. He lives like that. He lives like he's one step away. And I just don't want to test that kind of like demeanor. You know what I'm saying? So no, not everyday famous, everyday scary, everyday threatening. Absolutely. 100%.
Yo, okay. Do you think, I'm going to say, I believe in this city because the city has a very strong sports dedication.
Yes.
So I do believe this person is famous in their city, but I do not believe that they would be it's another KD thing where I feel like if you held the picture up and didn't have a name to go with it, I don't know if the women would know who it was. They probably think he was a rapper. I'm gonna say Jason Tatum.
Ooh, Jason Tatum.
You keep a crisp lineup. I always thought
crispy.
Yes.
He just got in commercials, man. Like he just got in commercials. So no, like I think we have only so much capacity for like anonymous light-skinned famous people. You know what I mean? Like I feel like Steph Curry is like the very known, recognizable, light-skinned famous person.
Everybody, he is famous. Everyday famous.
Very, very
Everybody
famous.
knows who he is. Yeah.
Everyone knows who he is. Is there another light-skinned basketball player that people know? Is there even another one?
No. You know what I like about Steph Curry too, and this is just a little bit of a off subject, but I also like that Steph Curry is not some huge guy. He's not super tall. He's sort of like an everyman. He's not like the biggest guy in the world, not the tallest guy in the world. So he's just a regular guy that's just super good at what he does. And I think that in some way that makes people feel like it's more attainable. So it's fun. Yeah. I can see why it's fun to root for somebody like him because he just looks like everybody else. If Steph Curry wasn't famous, he could be, let's just say, like a lawyer, and he just looks like everybody else. I did that. I totally.
Is there like a female equivalent to Steph Curry? Like who's like famous on that level, like attainable. They're skilled in a way. I would posit that Meghan Markle is the female Steph Curry.
Really? Why?
Like an average actor, but she's skilled at what she did. You know what I'm saying? Like and I feel like she's
with the royal finesse.
Yeah, she's like, no, that's exactly. It's like she like took light skin. She like got her light skin card and she took it to like the max. She maxed it out and ended up fucking with a prince. And I'm like, isn't that like the light skin dream? Like she is the female equivalent of Steph Curry in like skillfully marrying up.
There's so much I could say about that. And I just I'm looking down because I just don't even want to. I don't even want to get to that because I just there's so much that could be said. But yeah, she's skillfully married up. And when you think about like her accolades and just even what she was doing with Suits, I mean, she was never really that famous beyond. I mean, just kind of hit the lotto in a sense, right?
Yeah, I mean, like Gina Torres is on that show. She's an amazing actor, right? Like
I love Gina Torres.
And they're great actors, character actors, and she's not even close in that stratosphere.
No.
But I think she played her cards the exact right way. And like, not to say that like fuck the Royals too, like fuck the crown and fuck all that shit.
They're even saying that. I actually applaud them for doing. They went for love. I think that's great. Who cares about money? Who cares about accolades? Who cares about status? I applaud anybody that thinks like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and if you held up a picture of Meghan Markle, people would know who she is.
They would definitely know who Meghan Markle is.
Yeah, like dudes in the hood would know.
Yeah, yes, everybody would know. So my last one for you, and I'll leave it at this. Do you think that women would know who James Harden is?
Oh, James Harden. No.
Beard.
No, well, okay. How about this? The signifying beard, I would say they would not be able to fill out his name if the name were the blank part on the picture. Like they wouldn't be able to fill that in, but they'd be like, that's the guy, that's the basketball player with the beard. So he's famous on that level.
He's got this photo shoot out right now where he's like really feeling himself. And I just think he's got like this real like Niger boy aesthetic. Like I was just real like watching that and like I was really trying to get into the pigeon English. He looked real Niger.
Oh man.
Okay, James Harden.
I like that for him.
With the
I like
that. Soup. Yeah, I was okay.
I think I like James Harden with a pepper soup recipe. I like that.
I like that. That's suya.
That's excellent.
He's leaning into it.
But yeah, he's got the signature beard, so I feel like that is the real reason. And
take away the beard.
No. Like I don't even want to think of what James Harden's face looks like without that beard. Like I need because you're the editing maven, I need you to actually put like a side by side of him.
I can do this, but I don't want James Harden to come for me.
Listen,
I'm just gonna listen. We are all who we are. And
the way that dudes come at those makeup videos, like dudes get very worked up. And I think beard fishing is the equivalent. It's like
Yeah,
he
you
is
guys, I mean,
great.
it's very interesting because you guys get to do the beard fishing. And like, and you know, you're totally right. Like with women, you know, we've got the eyelashes, we've got the wigs, we've got
Right.
all kinds of things, foundations and everything. Scrub all of that off. And then it's just like, you know, some people it's just like, yo, who the heck is that person in front of me? Where we look completely different. With guys, a person can go out there full beard, they'll wear the fitted cap, you know, they got the lineup, they got
You know, some people, I'm beard disabled, you know what I'm saying? Like it's patchy, I can't, it don't fill in, but my jawline is good. Like my jawline is not, I don't have to hide it.
there's nothing, yeah, there's nothing. So yeah, you have good, yeah, good
Yeah,
bone
but
structure.
I don't think James Harden is genetically blessed with a jawline. And I don't think that like his jawline would be distinguishable without the beard.
You know, there's something very interesting I keep pointing out, and it's so interesting with basketball. I've noticed that men are so critical of the basketball players' looks. I don't even think
Really?
women are paying enough attention. Like, I don't think most women I know anyway, aren't really paying enough attention to basketball to
What,
really
like fat shaming the
think
men?
about it. Like, you know, fat shaming James Harden,
Yeah, for
fat
sure.
shaming Zion,
Yeah. For sure.
goofy shaming Giannis. Ass shaming KD. I mean, I could go
Ass
on. You know what I'm
shaming.
saying?
Yo, the
Yo,
body
listen,
positivity movement has gone too far with
men
ass
have just
shaming.
like y'all just have no boundaries. Like I remember I was thinking, and it's something that the only one that I actually agree with. I believe that Jason Tatum should share his barber information with Trae
Yes.
Young. That's the
Absolutely.
only thing.
Wow.
Share with Trae. Ice
That is
Trae.
devastating.
That is the only thing, because that
That is
lineup be crispy.
devastating.
Like that should be on like Jalen Rose levels.
Yo,
You know what I'm
that is
saying?
devastating
Jason
what
Tatum's
you
from the
just said about
Midwest.
Trae Young.
They
No.
don't miss.
First of all, they said Trae Young's hairline looked like static.
Oh my God.
I didn't say that.
That's horrible.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, nobody's protected from the 3A, 3B, 3Cs to the 4A, 4B, 4Cs.
yeah, we all get it.
The men are coming for everybody. I'm telling you guys, the banter. Oh, by the way, I'm so glad I said that because I was going to say the banter about basketball. Is Skip Bayless okay?
I mean, I'm like, it's a real love-hate.
I'm concerned.
It's a love-hate with Skip Bayless because I feel like he's so dedicated. Like, I don't think there's ever been, aside from like Star and Buck Wild, like Star and Buck Wild, I don't think there's ever been a more dedicated hater. Like,
yeah, right.
he doesn't claim being a hater like Star did, which
No.
I feel like that's more upfront, but he is probably like the most like diligent hater in history.
It just is nonstop. Literally,
Yeah.
LeBron can't do it. LeBron dropped 42, and Skip still found the stats to talk about his shot percentage. And I'm just like, dude, and he was like, this.
It was legendary. But you know what? My take though is that because I am like a Skip Bayless level hater of Michael Jordan in the way that Skip Bayless defends Michael Jordan. So like I really like growing up in New York, I really hate Michael Jordan. Like I despise Michael Jordan. Like everything about him I really dislike. And I would posit that Michael Jordan was too cowardly to ever go to the Rucker. And Kobe got my respect because he went to the Rucker. You know what I mean? And also before that time, Dr. J was at the Rucker, right? Kareem is actually a legendary street ball player. Kareem, in addition to sharing a birthday with me, which happy birthday, Kareem, when that comes around. But he's a basketball historian and writer. So he's written books about street ball. And part of that comes from his own experience at the Rucker, where he, as a 15, 16, 17-year-old, would go out and like dominate against and that was the time where there wasn't so much of a distinction, or like NBA scouts weren't reaching all over the world and getting all the talent. So there would be people who were comparable level talent to NBA.
You literally could, it was possible to kind of so-called get discovered at that time. Yeah.
And I feel like Michael Jordan didn't want that smoke. You know what I mean? Like I feel like Michael Jordan, he didn't want to get dunked on by a crackhead. You know what I'm saying? In Rucker Park. He felt like, because that was the days where they was calling Earl Manigault the GOAT.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And they said he jumped higher than Michael Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I don't think he wanted to be like, if you were known as the greatest player alive, you don't want to get beat in a one-on-one by
It just takes
recovering
that one
alcoholic.
game.
You know what I'm
No.
saying? Like,
And it's literally exactly. And it just takes that one game. And I have seen people that, I mean, I know it kind of sounds like, because we were talking about the Drew League, and there's that one time in on OK Player, we're old school like message board heads, and there was a guy that really believed that he was like, my rec team is as good as even the worst team in the NBA, at least, if not better.
wow.
And so he really believed that. It was the funniest post I've ever seen in my life. I think about this from time to time, and it makes me laugh. Like I could literally be at a funeral and I would bust out laughing just thinking about that post. But I say all that to say it's kind of one of those things, like, you even see that one dude that got that shot off on LeBron, and they keep playing that highlight. Like he could talk about that for the rest of his life, right? So it's just legendary. It's just almost like if somebody gets in a street fight and, the guy is 7 foot and, you're 5'2", you just get that one punch in that just lands.
Yes.
It's over. So yeah, I with Michael Jordan having that kind of like competitive, that hyper competitive gambling mentality, that hustle, that
he'd do well. He'd do well.
Yeah, he would definitely absolutely do well. But if anybody got anything off on him, he would never recover. That's the thing, because of how,
and people don't talk about that part. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People don't talk about the fact that part of the reason he left basketball was because of the gambling problem, was because of like how things would get exposed about him if he didn't want to tarnish the image. But yeah, I hate Michael Jordan. That's an aside.
I don't hate Michael Jordan the player. Like I told you, you can't. No, you just absolutely can't. But I think Michael Jordan the person, I think there's a lot that leaves a lot to be desired. That's why I said I think LeBron the person is amazing. I don't have anything bad to say about LeBron. But like I said, just from a player perspective, like I told you, LeBron is never playing for who I want him to play for. So I can't be a fan right now, but I'm a fan of the man. Absolutely.
Okay, so we have to talk about one of the greatest splits probably in urban media, hip hop show, podcast history has just happened. It was just announced that Desus and Mero are splitting up. And I feel like you have particular insight into who they are. I'm also like a Bodega High big time fan. I don't even know if I could speak on it fairly or well because of how much I'm in love with their brand and what they've done. But like the brand is gone. What's going on? What have you heard? What do you know? What do you think?
I mean, I think it's so sad because we've grown to love them. I know them. I think they're both amazing people. And we all know Bodega Hive, and we've seen like basically it's like we see these two dudes that were just sort of like just kids like us become like stupid famous, right?
Yeah.
And it's like it just kind of gave us just somebody to look at that like we could like relate to. And even the small things about it, they're so New York in a way that you have to be. It's still great and relatable outside of New York, but when you really live in New York and you're in New York and of New York. It's so fun to watch them. So it just gave us something that, even if you're not necessarily like born in New York, I was not born in New York. It's still something that, we could relate to. And it's a loss. It's an incredible loss. So I don't know what's to come, but they did definitely announce a split. They're not renewing the show. They hadn't even done any of the podcast episodes since November.
Yeah, no, so, they hadn't. And look, I mean, I think with bands, like in music, you break up, right? Like it's so hard to keep a group of people together. Like as soon as you have people with multiple interests going on. So we have the vow right now that whatever happens with Unhinged, we're gonna stay cool. Like you can keep the rights to it. Like I don't want anything from this except to like get these jokes off. And I think if you keep it like pure or as pure as people can keep it with wanting to like enjoy it and have fun, you'll have as much success as you're meant to have. And they have like had a wild amount of success.
I think they have.
And even as someone who like watches different kinds of media and like, I was a fan even as a kid before my time but I was a fan of Cheech and Chong. I was a fan of acts like that who brought kind of like buddy comedy into the mainstream. And I felt like they were that.
But then sometimes, sometimes opportunities are afforded to one person that are not afforded to the other. I do not know anything about this situation, so I'm not speaking from a place of authority. I'm just wondering, maybe something was afforded to one person that was not afforded to the other.
That always happens, right?
Yeah, that always happens. And maybe it was just an offer that one individual just could not refuse.
Right.
And the other individual might have just felt some kind of way. Like that can happen too. So it's like, is your loyalty to yourself?
Koku, you're sounding like sources right now. I mean,
like
I know,
this is like I'm sounding real sources.
You sounded real sourcey right now. I was like, you might want to throw an unnamed sources in there. Like, you know how they used to be like allegedly? You gotta throw some unnamed sources in there.
I ain't got nothing in this. I'm telling you, I'm just literally, it's just from what I've seen in behaviors and television and how things go from Diana Ross and the Supremes, the Destiny's Child.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it with even in the podcast world with the Read. I feel like that kind of like them getting bigger. It just brought different opportunities for different ones. And like sometimes you have to like, and I think this might apply to them, but I don't know. I think you have to know your ministry when you're in a duo like that. You have to really know what you're absolutely good at and like what the best version of what you're absolutely good at is, right? So if you're like really, really good at writing and you're gonna get like major writing opportunities, get to do like a Pixar flick and be a screenwriter on it, like you should be aware of that and not try to be made like the on-screen person if that's what you're good at. If you're the writer, then be the great writer. If you're the great performer, be the great performer. And I think knowing that really clearly when you go into something like that is helpful, but it's like wishful thinking that people can stay balanced when that level of opportunity comes up.
It's just unfortunate too, because again, those levels of opportunity sometimes again they may come for one person and not the other. I don't know if that's the case, but I'm suspecting that's why anybody with this type of history would probably have some kind of discord and probably split. It's something probably like that, where the bags are looking different, or somebody wants to do something else, somebody wants to veer off in a different direction, and then the other person wants to stay here. Who really knows? The point is, when I was looking at the Reddit feed, and I was like, yo, sometimes fans can be toxic. Because the fans, as I'm reading through everything, the fans are not even wanting either of them really to grow. It's like, we've been Bodega Hive all our lives, and we've been here with you guys from the beginning. If you guys split, like, how dare you guys do this to us, and blah, 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 and we're the Hive. But it's like, if my favorite, like, people just like to keep things so close sometimes that they're not interested in even their favorite person in the world, either getting the bag, growing, having a bigger opportunity. And I never understood either. Like, if I love an artist, I want them to do their best. I want to do their best. I want to shout it to the world. I want to put y'all on.
But here's the rub. I agree with you on that. And not even to cut you off, but I feel like I have serious doubts about whether each of them can do their best without the other. Like, I think to use the Cheech and Chong example, like Cheech Marin was like a significant comic actor. And I think he could get many roles and did. And he could push and be the engine of things. Like, if you're an Issa Rae, if you're a person who can like build worlds and you can perform and you can kind of like bring in other performers and bring their chemistry to the table and enhance it, like, that's a different thing than if you're a person who is a great performer only, or you need that structure or that kind of scaffolding to make you as big as you could be. So I think that was part of the issue there, where maybe there was a driving force. I don't know which of them it was. I wouldn't speculate, but maybe there was a driving force who was aware that he was the driving force. And does the other person accept that? Can you accept that and take that into your next step with some humility?
Or are you willing to play the back a little bit? And so a lot of times people aren't willing to do that. If an opportunity happened for someone else that was not there for me and I had to play the back, I am diplomatic and fair enough that I would be able to play that position if that's what was necessary for the situation. I would do it.
Well, shout out to the brand and peace to them. This is Unhinged. I hope y'all check out this next episode. We had a lot of fun with it, and we'll be back with another episode very, very soon.
We out.
All right.
Thanks for checking out the Unhinged podcast with Coco Puff and Drew Breeze. If you like what you see, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring that
spell.